Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you the secret to getting the perfect vocal reverb. We're going to be looking at vocal reverb today, but before we dive in, if you're ready to level up your vocal mixes and perfect your EQ strategy, then I have just the thing for you. It is my ultimate guide to vocal EQ. It's a simple PDF that will walk you through EQing your vocal step by step to get you polished and professional sounding vocal mixes without any more guesswork and without any more hassle. It is a completely free guide and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and look at this vocal and reverb. Let me start here by playing you the vocal inside the finished mix here, and then I will solo up the vocal so you can hear the the finished vocal by itself along with the reverb, just soloed up. So here is the finished vocal inside the finished mix. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way yours. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for your word. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way yours. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for your word. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. So that's our finished vocal inside the track, and then our finished vocal soloed up so you can hear the vocal and the reverb behind it. Now, the secret to getting a great vocal reverb and to getting it to sit in the mix nicely and blend with your vocal well is in the pre-delay. Now, this is something I learned watching, I believe, an old Chris Lordology video from Peer Mix or Mix with the Masters a while back. It was one of his first deconstructing of mixes. But he showed his reverb and talked about setting a really long pre-delay. So the reverb was about a 2-second plate with a 152 millisecond pre-delay. Now that was my preset before Studio One upgraded. It still sounds exactly the same, but the lengths and pre-delay milliseconds have changed when the reverb plugin updated. But if you're looking to get this sound, it's a 2-second plate reverb and then 152 millisecond pre-delay. So I always started with, where's it at? The flat plate setting, and then just tweaked it to fit those parameters. So again, 2-second plate, 152 millisecond pre-delay. Now that seems like a really long pre-delay. The reason being is because with a longer pre-delay, we hear our vocal and then we hear our reverb. The reverb and the vocal aren't happening on top of each other. There's some separation between them. So you can still hear your vocal clearly. You still get some tail, but they're not on top of each other. They're not fighting each other. So our vocal reverb isn't muddying up our lead vocal. So listen one more time here. Inside the mix, I'll pull the reverb up a little bit, and then again, I'll solo the vocal so you can hear it with the reverb by itself. I can't take anymore. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for your word. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way yours. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for your word. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. I'm holding out for your word. So you can hear our vocal happens, and then following it is our vocal reverb. I want to demonstrate for you what it sounds like when we have our vocal and our reverb happening at the same time. So all I'm going to do here is create another verb, and we're going to make it happen at the same time as the vocal. So this is going to contrast our current vocal reverb which is happening after. There's a pre-delay. So I'm just going to drag these over. So we'll start with that same flat plate setting. We'll nuke our pre-delay, and we'll leave it at 1.4. We can kick it up a little bit to 2 seconds here. So no pre-delay on this one. Still the same EQ afterwards, though. Just rolling off the highs and lows. Make sure our reverb isn't too muddy on the low end, not too much low energy, and not too much of those shiny highs, so our S's don't come through on our reverb that much. Let's send to the reverb here from our vocal bus, and we'll turn off our other one. So we'll level this into the mix, and we'll compare the two. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for you. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for you. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. So we're at 2 seconds. We're at the same length as the other reverb, but we don't have as much tail. Let's push the tail a little bit further here. Let's go up a little bit over 3 seconds and see if we can get that tail that we have on our previous reverb. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for you. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. I'm holding it. So you can hear our vocals starting to get a little bit cloudy, a little bit muddy, because we're pushing our reverb higher as our vocal and reverb are happening at the same time. There's no delay putting our reverb after our vocal. They're happening at the same time. So we have to push our reverb higher to get more of that tail, and we have to lengthen our reverb to get that same amount of tail. I'm not really digging the effect, so let's go back to our other verb here. I'll keep them both on and just flip between them using our mute buttons here. So here's our first reverb with the pre-delay in. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for you. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for you. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for you. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. You can hear by using the pre-delay, we keep the mud from the reverb, all that extra mid-range energy we are adding, out of the way of the lead vocal. We have it pushed a little bit after, so it helps us get a little bit more tail from our reverb without having to lengthen it or without having to push it louder. We keep our reverb and our vocal separate so they're not fighting each other. We can have our nice dry vocal and then our reverb separate from it. Rather than having our dry vocal and our reverb slapped right on top, we have to push it louder, we have to make it longer to try and get that tail and try to have it audible in the mix. And the result is it just ends up clouding the vocal, making it muddy because all this mid-range energy is just stacked on top of our lead vocal. It's just not working. One more time, let me pull these kind of back to where I had it set in the mix. We'll start with the reverb we added, so the one without pre-delay, and then we'll flip over to the one with pre-delay, and then I'll solo up the vocals so you can hear what they both sound like without the track going. So here is no pre-delay. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way up. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for you. Just give me the Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way yours. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for your word. Just give me the word. I can't take anymore. Baby, I'm all the way yours. I'm holding it in. I'm holding out for your word. So you can hear what the pre-delay gives us, the reverb with the pre-delay, is kind of like a little bit of a sidechain effect, right? You hear our vocal, then you hear the reverb. They're not fighting each other, they're not on top of each other. Without that pre-delay in, they're right on top of each other, and we have to push it a little bit louder, we have to push it a little bit longer to get that same kind of tail that we're getting from our reverb with the pre-delay already on it. I hope this was a helpful video for you. Like I said at the beginning of it, if you're ready to take your vocal mixes to the next level and really hone your EQ strategy, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my ultimate guide to vocal EQ, and you can download it below to start creating more professional vocal mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.